Welcome! I'm Halcyon, this is Hug Nation. Super good to be here with you. Today I got a couple things I want to talk about. The first of which is 3 types of teachers: gurus, practitioners, and educators. A guru is someone who has crossed the finish line, someone who has got true mastery, either from a lifetime of walking the path or from some divine touch, some magical gift that is bestowed upon them from outside of their worldly life. And this would be the Jesuses, the Buddhas, the Krishnamurtis, the people who have come back down from the mountaintop to bestow truth upon the humans of the world. That is significantly different from the practitioner. The practitioner is someone who is dedicated to their practice, has learned from their practice, and teaches based on the lessons of their practice. And part of that is the recognition and the acknowledgement that they are a practitioner, that they have not transcended into the realm of absolute mastery, and so often uses their stumbles and their lessons and their personal journey as part of their teaching. They acknowledge that they are flawed. And I would say, let's say, what's a kind of a practitioner example? For me, Jacob Glass is a great one. I think Tony Robbins is someone who tells stories about his life to illustrate his points. The third kind is the educator. Educator just means anyone who takes some material, reads a book, studies some class notes, and then passes those on. Most teachers in a classroom, in a school setting, are educators. They are not true masters of mathematics. They are not leading a lifetime path of the pursuit of mathematics mastery. They just have a knowledge that they get from books, and they digestible versions of that give to people in their classes. I think a lot of ministers actually are in that role of educator. Study the Bible, take those stories and share them with the parish. Probably overlap too with the practitioner, because most good pastors that I have listened to, they tell stories about their life, experiences they've had, weave that in with the source material so that you have a more relevant vantage point to understand these lessons that are, may not make sense from biblical times. I respond the best to the practitioner. If somebody comes at me with a bestowing of truth, I find that to be super off-putting. Unless they have absolutely earned this kind of prestige and respect from me. And maybe I'm stingy with my respect, but there's not that many people on the earth that I'm willing to just accept everything they say as truth. And when people do not acknowledge their weaknesses, do not acknowledge that they have stumbled or changed their mind or learned things or that there is any doubt or questioning to the truth that they bestow upon you, that concerns me. Unfortunately, many people respond dramatically to being told what is true. If you can look at politics, no politician goes up and says, well, based on my experience so far, this is what I feel, but I recognize that, it's a big confusing world and I might change my mind at any moment once I learn new information. You'd be crucified in the media for saying that. We even call out people and insult them and judge them if they change their mind. You're a flip-flopper. Like, that seems crazy to me, that we expect our leaders to become politicians fully formed and no longer accept new information. That's crazy. We just learned that, Pluto's not a planet. There might be another planet, and gravitational waves are real. Like that all happened in the last year, the lame duck year of Obama. So you say that what you thought was to be true when you were a burgeoning senator 20 years ago, you have to stick with that belief as you've seen more of the world and science and politics have seen so much more? That's crazy. And yet, experience and history shows us that the populace wants to be told, this is truth. And people crave that absoluteness, not just in politics. Some people crave it in all sorts of teachers. One thing that I struggle with in the self-help and motivational, field is that there's so many people that present information from a guru stance. I mean, they don't claim I'm a guru and I'm an enlightened master, but they present information, they present inspirational quotes and lessons as if they, their life experience led them to this truth. Boom. When I would guess that they are probably more like educators and practitioners. And so they have learned things as they are practicing. They've learned lessons from books and lectures, and they digest it, and then they try to share it. But I do react really negatively when people do not acknowledge their source material and do not acknowledge that they are stumbling and fumbling along the path just like you. Maybe there are people out there that, are enlightened masters, but I can't imagine that those same people would be making webinars. I would imagine those people would be pretty far along in their oneness to not be, trolling social media to get people to buy their ebook. Not that there's anything wrong with webinars or ebooks. I just want people to recognize that they are practitioners and educators. That's me. And as I look out at the world and how people react to politicians, clearly a lot of people want to be told what is right from a guru. And because of, I can only assume that the people selling webinars are altering their sales pitch based on what works, that in that field, people also want to be told, this is truth. This is how to make more money. This is how to be more successful. This is the truth to your salvation. I think that the key is to integrate all three of those things. And this is what I mean. I mean that the perfect teacher for me is one who is a practitioner. They are walking the path. They are learning. They are stumbling and learning from that and then sharing those lessons, acknowledging that they too stumble. Because when someone acknowledges that they stumble too, it makes it clear that this teacher is not some magical special being that is on a different level with you. It's like the difference between, like, if a cat is learning how to hunt from a tiger, the cat never thinks, well, I'm never going to be a tiger. A cat wants to learn how to hunt from an awesome hunter cat. I don't think I've ever made a metaphor using a hunter cat before, but today's the day. Also, drawing upon source materials, drawing upon the lessons of other people as an educator, pulling in and recognizing these wisdom of giants that came before them, the shoulders that they stand on. And then also, I think it's beautiful when people recognize that sometimes, especially when you have a dedicated practice, you will dip in to your guru nature. You will be totally in alignment with this divine truth. And sharing that process is a beautiful part and a true gift for a person to share. There is a difference between someone who says, sometimes I am so aligned to my truth that I have this experience, versus someone who says, I am in full alignment and let me share the truth. So that's the kind of teacher that I want to be in the world. And that's the kind of teacher that I think everyone should and can be in the world. Integrating all of those things, recognizing your faults and your stumbles, and using the path that you're on as a teaching aid. It's kind of like, you could learn running from a Olympian, or you could learn it from your friend who's training for a marathon. The friend training for the marathon, as they are dealing with their aches and pains, they have a lot to teach. And all of us are like that. Whatever our practice is, we have tons to teach as we go along the journey if we are recognizing that we are practitioners. I went to Wisdom 2.0 a couple weeks ago, last week, recently, and I was happily surprised to hear how many of the speakers recognized that they were practitioners, that they struggle, that they have doubt, that they have dark times. And it really made me be able to fully embrace and chew on and like sit with their lessons, because these were people who were peers of all of us, who had dedicated huge amounts of time doing research and huge amount of times walking the walk, and then were sharing that, not as another species, but as us with a different set of experiences. Even Ram Dass, a man who has walked the walk for decades, shared things about his uncertainty in his final chapter of his life. I get that it would have been maybe more fulfilling to have this aged, beautiful man say, I have seen the truth, and this is what happens in death, and just trust and have faith in something else. But what he said was, here's some things I'm thinking about, here's some things I wonder about, this is what I think's going to happen. Sharing it as a fellow journeyer on this amazing journey of life. That is how we can evolve and grow as people, as partners, as fellow human beings in this amazing journey. All of us, each of our individual lives and paths, every obstacle, every challenge, every struggle that each one of us has had, that is our practitioner knowledge base that we now have as a resource to the rest of humanity. So, don't wait until you're a guru. Don't wait till you finish your human classwork. Recognize what you have to give and teach now, and share it with the world. Thanks for letting me share.